It's the interview you've been waiting for. Kurt Angle, one-on-one. Kurt Angle, gold medalist from the 1996 Olympics, will tell his story. How he looked down his nose at the World Wrestling Federation, how he subsequently joined the WWF and became their champion. No holds barred, no limits. Kurt Angle, next.
The Off the Record WrestleMania special is brought to you by The Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
This is the final installment of OTR's Road to WrestleMania. The event is about to get rolling, but as a pre-game warm-up, we've got a one-on-one with one of the biggest names in the WWF. Now, you all know Kurt Angle from his character, the Three Eyes and the rest. But today, just as you got to know the people behind Rock, Stone Cold, Mankind on this very set, we'll get to meet the real Kurt Angle. First of all, good to see you, man.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right, a lot of people got a lot of questions. Your story is well known, kind of. We know that you're an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling from 1996, but how and why, after achieving the very pinnacle of success in the legit world, would you go to the pro stuff? A world that was probably, I'm thinking, the enemy of the world that you existed in for most of your life.
Actually, growing up, I was told not to watch pro wrestling. We always took the back seat to it. You know, when people think of wrestlers, they think of pro wrestlers, and amateur wrestling never got that exposure that pro wrestling did. So, you know, I remember so many times in my life where I'd be on an airplane or driving in a car and someone would say, "Hey, you're a pretty big guy. What do you do?" "I'm a wrestler." "Oh, one of those wrestlers on TV." And I get upset, I get offended, and I'd say, "No, I'm an Olympic wrestler." You know what that is? A gold medal wrestler. And so, you know, we always took the back seat to pro wrestling. It was very hard to make that transition because a lot of my peers didn't like the fact that I was crossing over that line. And I remember how it got started. And basically, after I won the gold medal in 1996, Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon called me. And they said, "We just watched your match last week, and we sent you a letter. You didn't respond. And we just wanted to know if you could come up to the WWF headquarters and talk to us about a possible contract." And I thought, well, I will be in New York City. I'll be on the Regis and Kathy Lee show, and I think I was on Conan O'Brien too. So I said, I'll drop by. Just have a limo come pick me up. Went up there, and I was amazed. I mean, I went through their headquarters, and you know, they were telling me they were in over 150 countries and how big it was getting, and it was just on its climb again, you know, because the wrestling kind of went in cycles, and it was starting to come back up again and really becoming popular every single day. So I took a serious look at it, a serious approach, and Vince offered me, I'm not going to give you a money figure, but a very lucrative contract, and I took it home to my agent. My agent ripped it up and threw it away. Said, "You're not doing this garbage." So for 2 years, I tried sports broadcasting. I did my wrestling camps and my clinics, tried a little bit of acting, did everything I possibly could. And one night I remember sitting in front of a TV set on a Monday night, and my girlfriend and I, at the time, now my wife, thank God, we were watching Raw's War. And I watched it the first night, and I kind of liked it. And I never saw it before. Now, you're talking about a person, a lot of people say, well, how could you be WWF champion in 11 months in a business when you never watched it before? I don't know. I never watched wrestling.
So you went back to Vince, right? And you obviously reapproached him. And as the story goes, from what I've heard, he offered you less the second time than the first time.
Oh,
true?
A lot less. Oh, God, it was, in my eyes, it was kind of a slap in the face. Vince did not offer the contracts anymore. Now it was Jim Ross and Bruce Pritchard. So I talked to them, and still not getting the whole picture. You know, I tried to talk to them as, you know, okay, listen, if you can give me that same contract you offered me, and just remember, I'm an Olympic gold medalist, I can't lose. Okay, and not understanding the whole approach of kids calling them and saying, he can't lose. He can't lose on TV. So, you know, these guys said, well, we'll get back to you. And they never did. A month went by, I watched it every week. All of a sudden, I'm addicted to it. After about 5 weeks, I kept calling them relentlessly. I said, I'll do whatever I have to do. Just let me go up and get a tryout. I really appreciated the athleticism. I appreciated the storylines. I wanted to be a part of it.
So you fully admit then that when you were in the amateur ranks and all of you were real cocky, real condescending to the professional wrestlers, you did it really out of ignorance to some extent, because you hadn't even watched the thing yet. You were the first guy to condemn him, right?
I did it because it was an opportunity for me. I didn't do it because I thought I'd have a passion for it at first. I did it because I had a contract thrown in front of my face that was worth a lot of money. And I thought, you know what, this is a great way of making money.
Okay, so what I'm wondering about, though, is that throughout your entire amateur life, and in Canada, we may not be able to appreciate how big amateur wrestling is. Sure. In high schools, it's as big as anything. In universities, massive scholarships. You were a big deal in your university campus, a huge deal.
Yes.
I mean, you were Kurt Angle, holy smokes. You are taught to win, win, win. How difficult was it that first time when someone told you to go out there and lose?
And lose? I do remember it was, well, actually my first loss wasn't really a loss, not in my character's eyes. It was a choke out, which in my eyes was an illegal choke, and we followed that storyline for the next couple months. But I do remember, and I don't know if this was done purposely or not, but my first loss was in my hometown. It was against The Rock, the biggest name in wrestling. And, you know, at that point I understood. And I didn't have a problem with losing. You know, I had this great undefeated streak for 4 months, but I think that the more I got into it, the more I understood the storylines and what it was all about.
You were more into the show. So
yeah, I started to have a passion for it.
So you were able to unlearn the whole aspect of winning, because that was no longer the important thing. But I want to know about the physical reactions, because as an amateur wrestler, you are trained to react instantly.
Right.
If you're thinking about it, then you're done. You're finished. You're pinned. It is over. Someone's counted you out. But in professional wrestling, it's almost the exact opposite. All of the moves are different. And while people would say, well, it's an easy leap from amateur champion to professional champion, I'm thinking it must be the opposite. It must be more difficult for you.
It is actually, in my eyes, I did the amateur wrestling. If I wanted to be a pro wrestler, a successful pro wrestler, the last thing I want to do is amateur wrestling, because the transition is so enormous. More than any other sport you could actually be in. You know, amateur wrestling, you're taught to go for the kill. You go by instinct. When I go out there and I wrestled, I had a strategy, but I never thought about what I was doing. You know, I would do something, bang, boom, bam, I'd be on top of the guy going for a pin as quickly as possible. I didn't even know what I did, because I did so many years and hours of training that it was just instilled in me. You know, it was instinct. You can't do that in pro wrestling. You have to slow it down. You have to include the crowd. You have to respond to the crowd. You have to give 50% of that match to the other guy. You know, excuse me, you're going back and forth. And I didn't, you know, at first I didn't understand that. And the way I picked it up so quickly is I forgot what I absolutely did the past 20 years. I said, okay, Kurt, back up. Forget you were an amateur wrestler. Go in there and let these guys teach you from scratch. And I started to improve a lot quicker. And before I knew it, you know, I was main event in 7 months.
You were main event in 7 months. You had trained for about a year. In less than 2 years, you're the champion of the WWF. And that, I know, had to piss off a lot of people. And we'll talk about who it pissed off and their reactions and how he felt when we return one-on-one with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, in 1996, when they put the gold medal around your neck, there was no disputing it. You won it. You outpointed the opposition. You were the champion. But you come to the professional ranks where it's subjective, where people get made champions because it's good for the company. After the short period of time, I know there was resentment in the locker room saying he doesn't deserve it this soon. How did you handle that?
I think the one thing I did that was more important than whether I deserved it or not is I came into the World Wrestling Federation not as an Olympic gold medalist, not as a guy that was better than everybody else. I messed with the boys, and it was very good to show your respect. If you're this cocky, arrogant guy, you're going to have trouble, because these guys they're not going to put up with anything. They're tough guys that are, you know, they want you to pay your dues. And I think they knew I paid my dues through amateur wrestling, but it was time for me to pay my dues through professional wrestling. And did I? Maybe not. Maybe not. And I could see some guys having a problem with that. They've never told me that. But, you know, I think I'd feel a little bit bitter toward the fact that If I never got a shot at the World Wrestling Federation title and this guy comes in and in 11 months wins a title, yeah, but does he have talent? Yes, he does. Is he good enough to be the World Wrestling Federation champion? Yes, he does. So there are certain people that the people in this world pick to excel, and I just happen to be one of them in the World Wrestling Federation.
See, one of the things about your entertainment, your form of entertainment, is that while it is scripted, and Vince has come on the show and years ago and said,
Sure.
Of course it's scripted, but there's also physical challenges that your competitor will present to you to test you, to see how good you were. Were you tested early on?
I don't know.
Because you're a tough guy. I mean, you're coming. Come on. They had to
guys
test you.
laid into me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys have laid into me a lot more than I thought they would. I think that was a test. Can I say absolutely for sure? No. You never know. I do know I laid into a lot of guys accidentally. So do I know if these guys really did it on purpose? No. But was it a test? It could have been. And I think I passed it well.
See, there was at one time shoot fighting and brawl for all and that stuff, and they tried it for a while. And you'd be one of the guys that I could respect his opinion because you have fought for real.
Right.
If you put the whole roster in an event like that, who'd be the toughest guy out there? I mean, for real.
That's a tough question. I could sit here and say me, but I don't think so. Would I be one of them? Maybe. But I think that there are guys in this company that are so tough that you can't imagine how tough they are. I mean, just to be in wrestling in general, you have to be pretty tough. But I see certain guys up there that are beyond, a guy like Tonga, Ming, Haku. I've heard stories about him that are, I don't know if anybody in this company could actually stand toe-to-toe with that guy. You look at Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, they're truly tough guys in real life. How tough, I don't know. You can't really say. All you can do is follow these guys' characters, because the one thing we don't do is we don't show how tough we are outside the ring. If we did that, we'd be in a lot of trouble.
You are an independent businessman, right? Even though you wrestle in the WWF. And one of the things that...
I like that. Go ahead.
Independent businessman? We like that. And we like what it implies, because it means that you have some control over your fate. And I think that you have gotten big enough in the WWF that you do have some control. How much in control are you now over the Angles? Because you're a nice guy. I mean, you're a nice guy to sit here and talk to. Everybody says Kurt Angle's a really good guy. How much in control are you, though, of the character you assume?
I would like to say I'm in full control, but I'm not. I don't have enough experience to be what I would call a leader in the locker room, let alone with the scripts. Guys like Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, these guys have been around for years. They've proven themselves, and they're experienced enough that they have a say. And I think that's real important. That I'm not saying that they get to do whatever they want to do. I think the last choice goes through Vince McMahon's eyes. But I'm not experienced enough yet to be able to have my own, say what I want to do and have my own storyline and say this is how it's going to go and this is how it's going to be. I think we all look to Vince McMahon as the final say, and right now I don't have the experience to even come up with my own storyline.
Have you said no to anything yet?
No, I have never said no to anything. I've had complete faith in Vince McMahon, and look where I've been.
Do you have boundaries of where you wouldn't go?
Yeah, I think we all do.
No, I'm not sure that would be true of everybody who's wrestled. I mean, there's a lot of guys that wrestled that I've thought they'll go anywhere.
Right, right.
And I'm not necessarily criticizing for that,
Right.
but I'm wondering for you whether you come in with boundaries of stuff that you wouldn't do, given your background, given your own beliefs.
I think one thing I would never do, and I know it's a show, I know it's a storyline, so I would do just about anything just because I know that it's, a lot of things that we do in the scripts are make-believe. But a real touchy subject with me is racial issues. I like to stay away from that. And I think for some odd reason, it just, I wouldn't feel comfortable going out there and saying things that I think I would regret saying eventually.
His name is Kurt Angle, and you will have a chance in just a short period of time to see him in WrestleMania X7. Contact your local cable company to place the order. We're glad that Kurt Angle is with us, and we're glad that he'll be back with me in just a moment. Stay with us. Let's talk politics, the politics of what you do and the politics of what you did. Alan Coage was a bronze medalist in judo in 1976, now known as Bad News Alan. And he said, I know the politics of wrestling, but the politics of being an Olympic athlete is even greater. You can now compare the two worlds. Where is the political pressure greater?
Obviously, being an Olympic athlete, you know, you have a certain persona, if you want to call it that. You know, you're supposed to be a role model to kids. You're supposed to keep your nose clean. You know, you're drug tested every month. You know, you just have this image of this clean-cut guy that trains 10 hours a day every single day, committed his life to the Olympics, and that's what you do. So there's a lot of pressure of being an Olympic athlete. I think more pressure of being an Olympic athlete than any other sport.
Right, and the politics now, when it gets you down, where is it? Because everybody's job has politics. My job has politics. Yours does as well. And I've heard all different perspectives from it.
You mean what I do now?
Yeah.
You know, to me right now, because what I call entertainment, you know, my pressure is just performing every week. I don't necessarily care what they have me do as much as how good it looks, you know, how good my performances were, my matches, how good the storylines were. You know, to me that's so important because my performances, I know, are just going to continue to make me more popular. So it's not as important to me to be, although I do play a character that's clean cut, it's not that important to me to play that character anymore.
Is it really a character, or is that you?
That is kind of me. I don't drink, I don't take drugs, I pretty much stay clean, and you know, just what I did to train for the Olympics. And it's kind of cool to be able to, you know, they go a little too far with it, you know, call me a 30-year-old virgin, that, you know, that, you know, it's kind of hard when you're married, but 30-year-old virgin that drinks milk every day, and you know, it's kind of funny, you know, the way they make fun of the whole situation. But you know what? It entertains people, and that's what I care about.
Well, one of the things that I've heard about you, though, is that you do it clean. And when I say clean, your body takes an incredible toll. The punishment is extreme. And one of the things that many guys have to do in every sport, including pro football and pro hockey, is go the painkiller route to be able to go out there. But you've turned away from that, right?
Yeah, and it's not easy. You know, I can't say I never took a painkiller. You know, I've had surgeries and stuff like that where I had to, but it's very difficult not to. You're talking, even if you don't want to call the WWF a sport, you're talking about the most brutal form of performance, entertainment, whatever you want to call it, sport, there is. Because, you know, what we do is we're not in control of our bodies half the time. You know, our opponents are. You know, you want to think that, I remember when I was an amateur wrestler, I wasn't always in control of my body, but 95% of the time I was. You know, so very little do I ever put my body on the line to the point where I think I'm going to get injured. Here, it happens quite a bit.
I'm sure the guys that you may really idolize or you may really think a lot of are guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin or Shawn Michaels or Mick Foley. Sure. But those are also guys whose bodies have been broken down time after time. For you, sitting where you're sitting now on the way up, are you concerned that when you get up there, you won't be able to enjoy it because you'll be so hurt? Yeah,
I'm concerned. I knew that when I started. I knew how my body was holding up before I even started, and it wasn't so good then. You know, 20 years of amateur wrestling will do it to you. Now, I'm hoping for 10 years of pro wrestling. My wife always asks me, what are you going to do? Are you going to want me to wheel you around the rest of your life? Maybe. But that's what I chose to do. This is what I choose to do. And whether I walk again or not, you know, when I'm done, whether I'm walking or not, that was my option. You know, everybody has a choice in life. You can quit whenever you want to quit. I'll quit when I feel it's right, and now's not the time.
On that note, we go to break and we say it's a ton of fun having Kurt Angle here. We'll get final remarks from him, tell you more about WrestleMania X7 in a moment. We, of course, always value your thoughts. Yo, Spanky, Kurt went from being an amateur to a superstar and is a success. How come you can't? That's directed at me. Compliment you, knock the host. I'm good with that, though. That's the way it works here. All we want to do is get the great guests on this set, and no matter what you say about me, I got no problem. TSN.ca/OTR is our amazing website. There's our email, there's our fax number. Back with more of Kurt in a moment. What we try to do on this show, as we did with Stone Cold and Rock and Mick Foley, is show you the person that exists behind the character. Now, in the case of Kurt Angle, the character is very similar, as we have found out over the last half hour, unless you're completely bluffing, very similar to the guy that's sitting right here. WrestleMania coming up, WrestleMania X7. Now, for the WWF, years seem to get marked by WrestleMania. We should tell the folks at home that as that approaches, contact your local cable company and get hooked up for this amazing event. Rock and Stone Cold, of course, will go at it as well. Go to a local Famous Players Theater and you'll be able to see it there live on the big screen. So for you, as you look back at the past year, been a good one for you?
It's been incredible. You know, winning all the titles I won, the European, Intercontinental, King of the Ring, WWF title. It's been a tremendous year. I have no complaints. If anything, I've been ecstatic about this year. And I'm just looking to maybe even, if I can, outperform myself this next year.
Now, you were wrestling in WrestleMania against the Canadian kid, Chris Benoit, regarded by many as the most talented wrestler, pure wrestler on the planet today.
I can agree with that.
Can you?
I think Chris Benoit brings a lot to the table. This guy is so aggressive. He's so precise on everything he does. To me, I mean, a lot of the stuff we do obviously is real, but every little thing he does looks so real. I mean, it's just, the guy's amazing how good he is, how sharp he is. But I think a lot of people compare us because we're the same size, about 225. We both have about the same quickness. We're very, very quick individuals, and we both have a lot of technique. And I think a lot of people will argue that him and I are the most technically sound guys in the World Wrestling Federation. So it's going to be great to be able to headline one of the main matches, Chris Benoit versus
I think you've got to explain. We've just got 30 seconds left. What does it mean to be a great professional wrestler? Very different than one it was in the old days when you wrestled way back when, winning gold medals.
To be a great professional wrestler, there's a lot more involved than just athleticism. You know, you have the athletic side, you have the... Obviously, you have to have a certain look. You don't have to be like the most cut individual, but you have to have a certain look. You have to be able to perform. You have to be able to talk. You have to be able to act. There's so many ingredients involved, and to be able to be called one of the most successful, that's amazing because you're doing what you expect to do.
What a pleasure to meet you. Good luck at WrestleMania. I hope the folks at home will enjoy it. And I got to say, Kurt Angle, great guy, and that's the truth.
Thank you. Pleasure to be on the show.
Michael Landsberg's wardrobe supplied by Grafton & Company. Get it at Grafton.
Look at our show.
He likes to go on to get a little bit with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We and I, like, we got...